wood shop. Thank God for wood.
There's another follow-up we have from last week. Stew Bremner from Edmonton showed us described a contraption he had that allowed him to flood coat a very complex burrow root turning. And we sort of floundered around trying to get him to describe it. And then we got him to give us a little video. So I'm going to try and play that video now.
Hi, my name's Stew Bremner. I'm at my shop here in Spruce Grove, Alberta. It's been kind of brought to my attention that a few people are interested in a piece of equipment that I have that I use for holding a bowl or something on a chuck that I can work with on the bench. And what it is a piece called a power arm by Wilton. And as you can see, it's very maneuverable for a lot of different things. I've done some flood coating on some bowls, and using this, I can actually hang a bowl right upside down by taking it out of this bracket here, sticking it in here, and then I've got a bowl sitting upside down. You can see that a little better. So I can rotate it or turn it on a different angle, like so. Turn it if I want. This piece of equipment is like I said, the name of it is Power Arm. It's made by Wilton, and all I've done to modify it is I bolted on a piece of angle iron that I can bolt to this bracket here, or take it out and put it in a vise, and I can have it work. I can work on something at the bench with it. The other piece that I had to make the alteration is I had to manufacture a flange to go on here, and a system that I could make it so it would rotate. And what I did is I used the bearing, and I welded the inner race of the bearing to the solid shaft and the outer race to the shaft that holds my chuck. And I have 33 millimeter access on my chuck. I just had to put a piece of a 33 millimeter bolt, weld that to this plate here, and there it is. That's it.
All right, I'm back. You guys back? Can you see me again?
Yep.
Okay. How'd you like that one?
I like that.
Yeah, especially if you need to do carving. Nice.
We made ball and socket joints last year as a club challenge, and you could use one of the wooden ones that we made for flood coating, but it wouldn't stand up to carving. That thing would stand up to hammering with a heavy hammer.
Just what is flood coating?
Stu, where are you?
I'm here. You got it?
Yeah.
We're on. Okay, flood coating is just a grade of epoxy, and you just pour it on, and it floods level and dries with a real nice shiny finish. It just completely coats everything that you lay it on, and it's a nice shined finish when you've got it done. It's a hard surface, and it's just epoxy. That's all it is.
Have you got your bowl handy there, Stu?
Yeah, it's in the other room. I can just quickly go and grab it. I'll be right back. I'll just switch my screen here.
Other questions or comments on this while he goes and fetches the piece?
So you're just painting the epoxy on, basically onto the wood?
And you got to keep the whole thing wet at once so that it all kind of flows and it makes those seams and edges and drools, I gather.
Yeah, we did a video of Steve McMillan doing a flood coat demonstration on a bowl in Stu's shop. So if you look at Edmonton Woodturners Guild YouTube channel and see Steve McMillan, he does a flood coat demonstration. So Stu's back with the bowl that he did.
Say something, Stu.
Hi there. Back it. Here it is. And this is the apple root burl. This was a real gnarly piece of wood. And when I first started playing around with it, it was about 5 years ago. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with it. And I figured, well, I'll get it to shape to what I want and clean it all up, but I'll just spray it with lacquer. Well, then I was introduced to epoxy work by Steve McMillan, and I helped him do a flood coat on a big salad bowl that he had, which turned out beautiful. And that's where we started out with the power arm, and we learned how that worked. And I got this bowl ready to go, and I ended up doing flood coat on it. And this was, I guess I can say, my second experience with flood coating. And it's a whole new thing. It's a learning process. And I didn't know, some of the points that was pointed out to me as I went along. I learned that things have to be, all the holes have to be filled, and it's got to be smooth for the surface you want to show any nice piece of flooding.
How thick do you think that epoxy is?
Oh, I would say roughly a 32nd of an inch, maybe. And you can pour it, so it'll, I think you can pour up to ½ inch on this stuff if you wanted to layer something. Yeah. But in this particular case, what happened is I did one coat on the inside, and it wasn't quite as nice in here as I would like it. There was a few voids in a few of the cracks. I wanted some cracks to show as part of the embellishments of the piece, and it really didn't look all that great. So I took it and I let it sit and dry and make sure it was good and cured. And I left it for probably over a week. And what I did basically is just re-sand it with a fine grit sandpaper, and I recoated it. But the second time I recoated it, I didn't pour it on and let it flow like you're supposed to with flood coat. I actually brushed it on with a paintbrush. And you can do that. And there's the finished piece after a coat with the brush. And with using the brush, you can actually put it on thinner, and this doesn't sit there in a lump type of thing. And it smoothed out really good. So I did the whole thing. I mean, I had it sitting on the power arm. I could turn it to any angle. And if I found I had a bit of epoxy that was sagging and building up and making a bubble on the edge, like a blister, I would wipe that off with the brush so it's smooth again, and rotate it with the power arm so it would get to a different position so the resin would flow the other way. So it took a lot of babysitting, but in the end result, I've done nothing to this bowl after I flood coated it. It's all cleaned up. There isn't a bubble on it anywhere. Okay. And all I had to do was finish the base. Okay.
Any other comments or questions for Stu? Everybody got flood coating down now, huh? Let me see what we're going to do next. Thank you very much, Stu. That's interesting. And I think that power arm
I tried doing that.
I think that power arm was originally, I think you saw it in a mechanic shop where they were holding carburetors.
Yes, I did. That's correct. I have a 64.5 Mustang. I need a carburetor overhaul. I got a hold of this guy that was specialized in it. I walked into his shop, and he had a carburetor on a bracket on his power arm in the vise. And I sat, it's funny, I sat my carburetor in the box on the bench beside it, and I'm looking at this power arm, and I knew instantly, I got to get one of these things because I know what I'm going to do with it. I knew instantly what I had to do to modify it to use it. And I'm paying more attention to this power arm, and he's talking to me about my carburetor sitting there on the bench. I said, it was kind of funny. And he said, would you like one of those? I said, yes. And he said, here, I have one, but it needs some work. I had to fix it a little bit. So all I had to do.
Wood shop.